Community, this free workshop on personal branding, right, with these incredible industry pros that we have. And while we're at it, I just kind of want to jump into it really briefly, right, about what Artist on Go is, and how we're kind of linking here with great links, right? Rachel, I'm not sure if you're with the screen here, but we'll jump across to the next slide. I'll wait for this one just so you guys are all following. Okay, perfect. So yeah, simply put, and this is going to be great because it's going to foster a lot of the conversation that we have today. But Artist on Go is a salon chair rental platform, right? We've partnered with over 30 premium salons in New York City and Miami to provide you and your clients this all-inclusive salon home. What's exciting about that, with any bookings you make, you receive full back bar access, free laundry, there's storage with this, and obviously 24/7 access. So you have full freedom without compromise. That's kind of a big thing here is, and what kind of sets apart is, we're providing you with this freedom to rent, to find a place that works for you. Again, like I said, I'm our advisor. So I actually am privileged. I work with so many artists, hundreds of artists every single day, right? And so we've got hairstylists, we've got colorists, traveling artists. Fashion Week was huge. We had a lot of stylists say, hey, Tanner, I just need something quick just for like 1 or 2 days, right? Independent artists looking for a new home, commission artists, right? You name it, work for you. We work with everybody. What's really exciting about this is, our rental plans are no contract. They're flexible to fit your needs. Whether, like I mentioned, you're a traveling stylist or looking for a home, it's nice because we start at just $20 an hour, right? Or $375 a week. But again, what's most important is it's about you, right? So we're flexible with those options. So with that, right, with Artists on Go, all it takes is taking a quiz with us. We match you what you love, right? I've got stylists every day. Tanner, I love Soho. I love Chelsea. My clients love Upper East. I want to work in these locations. And so this is what's so exciting with Artists on Go is our mission is to find and match you with the best location, with the best artist, give you the most up-to-date ongoing education, like helping out with anything from purchasing products, getting access to insurance, answering questions, all that. So again, we'll kind of jump into a little bit more, but without further ado, here to teach us all about personal branding, both on and offline. And you guys can stay alert with all of these things too. I've got the director of L'Oreal Brands, Great Links Artistic Director, and obviously nominated 2023 North American Hairstylist of the Year, Danielle Keasling. So super exciting. Danielle, I'm going to turn it over to you. Obviously, we've got a few special guests with us, so thanks for being here. And we'll let you take it from there.
Thank you for having me. First of all, everyone on this call, thank you so much for spending the time and investing in your own brand and your own self. And, a little bit of background really quick. I'm not going to go into too much deets, but, I'm a hairstylist that has worn every hat in this industry, going from Fashion Week and doing editorial work to switching over halfway in my career and really getting into the brands and being a platform artist and doing education, and then kind of now going back to where my roots are with is celebrity work and back to editorial stuff. So I have been traveling basically all over the world trying to figure out where my niche is in this industry. And I definitely have a lot of them. I can speak to a lot of different avenues in this industry. But one thing I truly have a passion for, and I believe, is community and networking. And when Artists on Go asked me to be a part of this masterclass and this education platform that they're really creating with Community Foundation, I was super excited. And I am also a lover of people and, celebrating people that do things incredibly well in this industry. And right away, I was like, I have an idea. I could sit and talk for 45 minutes to an hour to all of you guys and answer any questions. But I thought, I do what I do well in the industry, but I want to bring on 3 very special people that have crossed paths with me during different points in my career that truly do what they do at the level in which they do it, which to me is the best. And, so this is kind of like a jam-packed really beefy, beefy class for you guys, because you're going to get a lot of information going forward with these three artists. So just to give you a quick recap on who you're going to be seeing or hearing from today, we've got our beautiful Sydney Lopez, who is a social media superstar, but not just for social media. I mean, she's an intelligent entrepreneur that has incredible grace and presence to her, and just makes everyone around her feel completely warm and welcome, and is a wealth of information that she loves to share. And I've been a part of listening on different events that Sydney's presented at, and I can truly speak from the heart that she is willing and able to help anyone that crosses her path. So thank you for joining us today, Sid.
Thank you.
I've got Christopher, my dear friend, who is the L'Oreal brand manager for all of the L'Oreal Caribe, which is all of the islands. So Christopher and I met about a year and a half ago, and it was just a kinetic, like, energy connection that we had. And one thing about Christopher that I will tell you is he is a master at work, organization, and putting himself out there and taking huge steps into where he's gotten. So like I said, he runs all of L'Oreal Caribe and works within the United States as well with the internal teams of L'Oreal, and is going to be talking about, you know, kind of what brands look for and how to really stand out in the industry. If it's something that you want to do, is get into education and brands or campaigns or working tighter with those communities. So thank you, Christopher, for being here. And then we've got Marie Green. So she has actually been a personal student of mine in my coaching program that I do, one-on-one private coaching when I'm not working my other 4 jobs. And I have seen Marie Green just take social media by the reins. So Marie has been in this industry as long as I have, and has been, you know, kind of a veteran, and definitely had a super successful career path going. And when the industry really kind of flipped into social media marketing and a big, strong presence on TikTok and Instagram, she reached out and said, you know what, I want to change with the industry and I want to grow my brand. And so we've been working together for the last couple of years. And she is a true statement that with coaching and the right mindset and just putting your foot forward, you can do whatever you want. She went from hating social media, absolutely hating it, to like being a rock star on it and having fun with it. And that's what I really like. That's what makes me so happy, is like, she's not just posting to post. She actually has fun with it. And she can talk a little bit about that, and also her extension business and how it's just made such an impact on her bottom line ticket and how much money she is able to make behind the chair. She's got expensive taste, and I love you for that, Marie. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, so let's just jump into the next slide. So yes, the industry is changing. And as you guys all probably, and type it if you have social media anxiety, just type it in the chats. I got a whole list of questions that we can cover that you guys kind of submitted and thank you guys so much for doing that. But type in, like, let me know, do you love social media? Do you hate social media? What are the things you want to learn about social media? And you know, this is where I think you've got actually 4 people on this call right now that have points to make on social media. But you know, one of the things that, like I said from the beginning, what set Sydney apart, I met Sydney way back at a photo shoot class years and years ago, and she just like took social media by storm. She was laser focused, dedicated, and said, you know what, I'm going to take this and use it as the vehicle it is. And I'm just going to pass it off to you, Sid, and let you kind of tell your story, because it's a good one.
Sure. So thank you for the intro, Danielle. We actually met, I was trying to remember, but we met on a shoot with Modern Salon a long time ago. And I think at the time I had less than
day, which is weird.
Oh, that's so fun. Well, I think at that shoot, I want to say I had less than like 5,000 followers at the time. And my story is probably like a lot of you guys. I was booked, busy, and didn't need social media for any reason because I already had too many clients that wanted in my chair and not enough time for everybody. And I have a mom who's been in the industry for 45 years. I've grown up with my first haircut and color, actually my first perm was at 3 years old. And so I have like grown up watching her build her business the way you had to build your business before social media. I remember going to hair shows, and I remember picking out big billboards, and I remember going from business to business. And I'm still doing all those things. I'm just doing them from the comfort of my couch. And so for me, I feel like the biggest aha moment for me is that you don't necessarily have to be someone who wants to be an influencer or wants to go viral. Like, my passion in the industry is helping people really curate their clientele to whatever it is they're passionate about and stay booked and busy. As a salon owner myself, I actually own a salon with my mom. Like, when I have an opening at my space, I have 15 people in 24 hours reaching out, wanting to come just because they know who we are because of social media. So there's so many benefits to that I just wasn't expecting. But I guess the reason that I basically like started my social media is because I was getting really tired of everyone bringing me pictures from Pinterest. I was getting really sick of not knowing if like something was edited or something was fake. And so I just thought, like, I'm really good at doing hair. Why am I not taking pictures of it and sharing what I can do with clients so they can pick out my own clients' hair? So that's kind of what kicked me off. And I want to give you guys as much value today as possible. I know we have some questions to answer, but that's just my really short spiel on myself.
Yeah, I love that. I actually am just gonna, because this is a question that we had come in earlier, and it kind of relates to what you just said. What advice, like, basically, when you were growing your social media, is there something you wish that you would have done sooner in the process that you look back at?
Absolutely. So for me, I think the reason that I was hesitant to get into social media was because I was busy and I was booked, and it takes time. It's a lot of extra time. However, what I didn't realize is that everything I was doing in the salon was not necessarily things I was super passionate about. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I do a lot of creative color and rainbow hair. And so what social media did for me, what's really interesting about it, is it didn't necessarily pull in an entirely new clientele, but what it did is it shifted my own clients' mindset into allowing me to, like, if you do extensions or you do, creative color, or you're really good at something that may be out of someone's like wheelhouse or might not be as like comfortable, social media made it really relatable and easy for me to go, let's throw a little rose gold in your hair. Let's throw a little lavender in your hair. And people always go like, where in the world did you find a full set of clients that want creative color? And I'm like, well, they were already in my chair. They just didn't know it till I started posting about it on social media and making it more relatable. So for me, it opened up the door for me to really do what makes my heart flutter, what makes me happy. Like, at the end of an appointment, when I do creative color, I'm like excited to take pictures because I'm so proud of it. And so if you guys haven't found like what makes your heart flutter yet, keep looking until you get to that point, and then that's what you share on social media.
I love that. So another question related to your niche. Do you think that limits you when you create a niche? Like, people are asking, like, does that basically limit your diversity of income?
So I think one of the things before 2020, I've been teaching social media. I teach social media classes all the time, and it's one of my passions. Before 2020, I was always teaching. Whatever it is that you want to be known for, you can only post that. I can only post rainbow hair, or I can only post upstyling, or I can only post extensions. And then 2020 hit, and we didn't have to be as perfect. We didn't have to be as aesthetically pleasing to the world. We just needed to be real and relatable. And so if you are that stylist that's really good at everything, post everything. But what I would say is my biggest tip for those people is to create hashtags for your audience to be able to differentiate between your work. So for me, I do a lot of upstyling. I'm like super passionate about it. We do a lot of like music festivals in Texas. So I have a hashtag that's called #UpstyledBySyd. so that anyone that wants really cool, creative, like music festival hair can go to that hashtag and they don't have to look through 4,000 posts of creative rainbow hair because they may not be that audience. So I've been able to kind of like diversify myself by allowing my audience to follow hashtags of mine for content that they actually care about. So if you're someone who does lived in hair, you do blondes or you do extensions, just create separate groups of hashtags or subsets. So that way you allow your potential clients or potential followers to be able to find the content they care about.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I'm going to actually pass it over to Marie real quick because Marie, I also know that, you know, when I started working with you and coaching you on your social media presence, you were still doing color and you were still doing things in the salon besides hair extensions. And, you know, one of the things that you had said to me is like, you just wanted to transition to hair extensions and be done with it. So like, tell me about that and how did that actually, because I know that once you laser focus in on that, you actually increase your prices and you're able to get more money per client now with your existing extensions and new people coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people learning from me that your client of whatever your niche wants to be, like Sydney said, is already in your chair. Even though I had a bunch of color clients, cuts and everything like that, I knew that that was an extension client also in my chair. So I would put a couple of bonds in their hair and let them go home with those feel. And then it became, they couldn't get them fast enough. COVID, you know, you talked about 2020. COVID hair loss, I'm sorry, it hit everybody, myself included. You know, my hair thinned dramatically. But, you know, the shift was, you know, once I went through COVID, I just wanted my dollar per hour to be so much more. And why do a color, you know, where I was making 100 to 150 an hour when I could be doing extensions, making 400, 500, 600 an hour. It just makes that difference. Doing that number, you know, we are currently at our home in Florida. We had a second home. It's my husband's dream to kind of retire down here, be down here. I'm the elder in this group today, by the way, everybody. I'm in my late 50s and still doing hair, but I still love what I do. And I needed to build that clientele down here, you know, Naples, Florida. I knew the prices were higher. So I had to like start over with that clientele, you know, with having a full clientele in Indy. And I just knew that the prices were higher, did a little bit of research and, you know, I make no apologies. I tell my price and tell people, you know, that's what it is. I know they can find cheaper, but they're not going to find better.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the questions that somebody brought up earlier was how to build clients as a traveling stylist so you can relocate as a full-time established stylist in another state. And you're actually in the process of doing that. So how have you been able to drive extension clients into your booth in Naples while you're still transitioning?
Well, training from you helped a lot, but also, you know, hashtags, really start hashtagging area, following all of the, you know, the people who already have a presence here. I work with a lot of influencers, which is, you know, I've been very lucky that they found me and wanted to work with me. So they're a big deal with, you know, shouting out that, you know, I'm in this area. You know, so sorry. Working with the hashtags. And I will say that literally being here and putting, you know, making my backgrounds like Naples and stuff like that, people know that I'm here. I have people that are in for just season, which is between like Thanksgiving and Easter down here, who are getting extensions in other cities, but they need somebody down here. That's been huge. You know, people traveling and they still need their hair done in the area they're traveling at. So
yeah. That's incredible. And it's a great, you know, going back to Artists on the Go Network, it's a great way to utilize such an amazing community and platform to be able to test out, you know, a different area, see if you want to like build a clientele there. And, you know, if you are moving there because your spouse is moving there, like it's just so, there's so much diversity within the network. And I think it's really, really awesome that you were able to like start. I know how successful you already are in Naples and you haven't even like been there full time. So.
And I will say, you know, finding a salon was hard. So artist on the go, it would be a game changer. You know, even in this area, I know that, you know, you're in Miami, but Southwest Florida really needs an artist on the go salon too. I was lucky enough to find a spot, but they are limited. And I will say season is, you know, all the stylists come down here for season 2, and there's only a limited amount of places to work down here. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to bring it back to Sid really quick. You talked about finding your niche. Talk to me about networking right now. Like, how are you?
Sure.
I know you started a new program with another artist. You guys have your own academy. That's like a whole other platform of area.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. So actually, what I would encourage you guys to do when I was just starting my social page, and again, when I had less than 5,000 followers, I met so many people that have been integral to the moves that I've made in this industry at that point. And the reason for that was, it was honestly one quote and my personality from Modern Salon. They had posted something and it's just stuck with me forever. And it said, you might be too much for some people and those are not your people. And I feel like in this industry, if you are not your loudest advocate and you're not willing to put yourself out there, it's really hard to grow. And so for me, my big encouragement to you guys is anytime that you make an amazing Great Links post or you have a huge transformation and you only have 300 followers or 400 followers, good content is good content. It doesn't matter the number of followers. And I guarantee you that every single brand needs that good content and wants that good content and wants to support its artist. And so when I was starting off, like my biggest form of networking was social media. And it was literally me creating content, you know, like huge tip here. Whenever a brand launches a new color or a new styling product, they are hungry for that content because they don't have a sea of it yet. So I'm the first one to jump on that bandwagon and go, oh my gosh, is that in yet? I need to get my hands on it. Let me create a video on how to do this air dry foam or whatever it is. And then guess what I do? I don't just like post it on my page and hope they see it. I send it directly to Great Links and say, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with your new fashion colored extensions. These are incredible. I love how they fade, which they don't fade at all. And I just had to show you this video that I made with the before and after. My clients are obsessed. And then the more that you send that, hey, I'm doing a really good job and I'm loving your product, the more connections that you build. And the other big thing I would recommend to anyone listening, if you do that, like get to know the team who's on social media. Don't just assume it's Great Links. Like find out the names of the people who work there, because those are going to be your people who you're talking to. And it's so weird to be like, hey, Great Links, how are you? But if you know the team that runs it, it becomes so much more personal and you become one of the people they'll reach out to. Like I do so much creative color. So when Valentine's rolled around, I had every big page messaging me saying, hey, do you have any pink and red hair? Well, of course I do. Do you have any purple hair? Do you have any of this? Do you have any of that? And so I feel like sometimes it feels a little overwhelming when you're starting off to kind of like get your foot in the door and make those connections. But everyone has a DM. And if you are someone that is already doing really good hair, the battle is over. You just have to be able to make the content. And so I would encourage you guys that this has opened up the ability for me to travel. I was in Paris and Amsterdam and Germany last year. And I have another business with another stylist that I've actually met one time in real life. And it was like 7 years ago. And we have an online education platform that we run together. She does natural hair. It's Jessica Scott Hair. And I do creative color. And so I feel like it's kind of like you said, like, Danielle, when that chemistry is just right and you know your people, it's the same thing with our clients. It's like when you find the right people in the industry, just hold tight to them because you guys can grow together. And that's been really fun.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. And I think that, you know, that's what it's all about. And, you know, I'm going to bring it over to Christopher really quick because Christopher is the brand. He is running all of L'Oreal Caribe in the islands. And I want to hear from the brand themselves on like, what are you looking for when you guys are looking for people to represent, be on stage? Like, how do you bring in new artists to the network? What are you looking for on social media? And when people are representing or like creating, you know, content with products, what grabs your attention? Because I know that you're not just had an education, but you're actually very social media savvy yourself. So what jumps at you?
Yeah, so I want to piggyback really quickly on what Sydney was saying, right? Because she hit a amazing point that I guess a lot of people, when you're doing social, you forget about it. When you get that new product in, brands do want that product. They want that content. They want people, they want you, artists, to bring us stuff of what the product could be used for and like how does it work for you because it's best, right? And then she mentioned something really important, both Marie and Sydney, the hashtags. Hashtags are super important when it comes to that because it's going to bring us more awareness, especially if you as an independent artist, you look at what are the brand's hashtags and you study them so that way you know how your content can get recognized. That helps a lot. That's one thing. And other thing that me particularly, I look for when I'm working with various groups of people, and Danielle, you know this because you and I have worked super big events together. I look a lot for authenticity because at the end of the day, I want people to be authentic because whether it's that you work, let's say like Danielle, she works for me for Matrix, and I have people that work for Mizani or Redken. Yes, they work for that brand, but at the end of the day, I want the connection to come through as authentic and genuine as possible. Because for me, and I say this to all of my artists that I work with, at the end of the day, you are your own brand, right? Like, look at Danielle. She works with various brands, not just with L'Oreal. She works with Great Lengths. She works with Modern Salon and stuff like that. So, but she's her own brand. She's Danielle Keasling, and she's made that clear. And the same thing with Sydney and Marie, right? And that is super important when as an artist you want to grow and you want to evolve. It's like, so who are you? What makes you you and what makes you unique?
Yeah.
Create those hashtags to yourself. I would also say like Sydney was saying, because it is true. You want people to look for various versions of you because I don't think there's a one size box fits all because we are always on a constant evolution throughout life.
Yep. Yeah, no, and I agree. And actually, one of the things that you have always done well, and you did this at the last event that we worked, you paired up artists from different brands and had them, do classes together, which, that is something that we're seeing in the industry as well. Like when I used to stand on stage at the beginning of my career as an educator, it was kind of like we would like look over at Wella and we'd be like, oh, what's Wella doing? And like, oh, what's Redken doing? And now it's like, now you better get on with the program, people. Like this industry is all about like loving each other, networking, helping each other. And that's where like we really have to shift our mindset because if you are not asking the questions, if you are not putting yourself out there, you are holding yourself back. And I like literally truly believe that like you have to be vulnerable and you have to put yourself out there and you have to just make yourself uncomfortable. And when you have 4 people in the industry that have taken the time out of their crazy schedules, because we're all in different places right now and we're all in between events today, I'm sure. And but we do this because we're passionate and we love this industry. And like let us help you with your growing pains, because that is one thing that I if I could give myself advice when I started 25, 30 years ago, I would have been like, I needed to put myself out there more. I needed to ask people more questions. I needed to make myself uncomfortable and feel very vulnerable. And I would have grown a lot faster if I would have done so. So that's what I'm going to say about mindset today. All right. So Marie, I know you had texted me earlier. You definitely were passionate about something that you wanted to share.
You know what? You were talking about communicating with clients through social media. I will tell you, my DMs are gold. I start the conversations there. Not everybody, if they started liking something, I start a conversation. It's like, is this something you're interested in? Do you need to know more? I answer everybody. It's not just one, paste and copy message. I take the few minutes to just have that actual conversation. You would be surprised how quickly they become a client. And I call those people friends. I've known them for so long, but they all started and we found each other through social media. I have other stylists that are friends of mine through social media across the country and stuff like that. But then, clients also. I have, I would never think about it as, extensions. And I know, you guys do all this traveling and stuff too. I have clients flying into me. I have a client that flies into me every 4 months from Las Vegas. I've told her I have stylists out there I can hook her up with in Las Vegas, but she still comes to me. She says, I like how you do it better. We're friends and stuff like that. I have 2 clients that fly from Houston. I have a client that comes from Atlanta. All the places where my services are available with other stylists, but they still come to me because I started that relationship in the DM. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think consistently across the panel, I will tell you too that all 3, and including myself 4, we're kind of unapologetic when it comes to like what we do well. And I do, and I will say that is, once I decided to have a healthy relationship with my money mindset and, knowing that I'm doing the stuff I love to do, like Sydney was saying, my bread and butter, like knowing that I'm doing what I'm passionate, what I'm the best at doing, and knowing what I'm like, it's coming from here, is when you just all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I could be doing anything I want right now, but I'm choosing to do this. So I'm going to make that mindset where I also deserve to be paid a certain price to have those, to be able to provide those services. So across the board, we have a good group of people that can all answer questions too about pricing and, like money mindset really. So if you guys have any more questions, I know you guys sent in a bunch early today, but drop them in the comments so we can, make sure that we're giving you what you want. And if we don't get to this whole list of questions today, I'll make sure that we definitely get them answered on the Artist on Go platform on Instagram as well. So I just, like engage with us guys. If we're giving you some information that you love, make sure you let us know. And I'm sorry, I'm like trying to get to my panel of questions here. I'm just gonna, what do you guys all think about TikTok versus Instagram right now? Reels.
You're on mute, Sydney.
Yep.
Oh.
I was trying to be quiet while y'all were talking. I said, I have a big opinion on it. What I would say, and I'm getting ready actually on Friday to teach my like most intimidating class ever. I've taught in front of like thousands of people, and I'm teaching to my kids' school to career day to high school students, which is terrifying. And so I am on TikTok. I have almost the same following on TikTok that I have on Instagram, but I worked so much harder on my following on Instagram than I worked on my following on TikTok. So I value that so much more because I put so much more work into it. On TikTok, the virality of it is just a little unpredictable. And I feel like, and I'm interested to see what Christopher has to say about this, but I feel like so far, a lot of brands don't have the buy-in on TikTok that they have on Instagram. I was offered my first brand deal right around 10,000 followers on Instagram, and I have 140,000 on TikTok, and I have yet to see a good one. So I would say if you're spending time, and an intentional time, because for me, the entire reason that I love doing social media beyond my clients is the fact that I can do it after my kids go to bed. I was so sick and tired of putting hours at the salon that, in order to make more, I had to work more, that I just needed to find a way to financially support my family after 7 p.m. without having to go back to the salon. And so for me, I will edit videos all day long for Instagram and then post them to TikTok, because I do feel like in the next 3 years, there will be a shift where you can make some significant income over there. But I would say, and this is what I'm going to terrifyingly say to high school students, that even though how like my generation feels that Facebook isn't cool, they all feel that Instagram isn't cool. However, if they're in it to build a business and be an entrepreneur, I feel like right now, where you can do that is on Instagram. Okay, Christopher, I want to hear what you have to say though.
No, listen, Sydney, I think I agree with a lot of things you just mentioned. However, us, L'Oreal, as a company, we are shifting in order to include TikTok followers and to get those TikTok makers, right? Because at the end of right now, TikTok is creating various communities, and that's one of the things that it stands for, right? It doesn't just, it's not just hair, it's not just a trucker, it's not just a fixer upper, right? It's various different things, and within that, you can search various different things as well. However, I do agree with you that with Instagram, you are able to get better like that engagement, right? To a certain extent. Um, but it is something that's happening, and it's shifting, not as fast as we would have liked for it to happen, but it's going there now. Because just now recently,
Yeah.
I just came out from a TikTok workshop this past week when I was in LA, because they were teaching the artists on like how to post the TikTok content for the brand, that it looks branded and it looks nice, but it's also authentic to their brands, to their each individuality at the end of the day. So it's going there. But another thing I would also say is that the only thing that I personally, and this is me, Christopher, personally saying this, but I like TikTok because it lets you create various things like on the editing side that Instagram doesn't have. But I hate it for one side, because if you create it there, you have to upload it in order for you to save it, in order for you then to upload it on Instagram. And then like Instagram kind of blocks you, right? Because they don't want your reel or your content to show that it's from TikTok. So like that's the only downside that we see.
I can help you with that. So I can help you get around that.
I know what you're gonna say, and I've also done it too. But I mean, there are coming, I don't know if you guys heard about this, and maybe you have it because you have way more following than I do, but they have a new beta version that supposedly is going to help you edit it. You're able to download it without no watermark and then be able to post it on Instagram. But for now, I think you're a little chick, so let's talk about that later.
We have to have another master class. Like, we have just too much to talk about, the four of us.
And my clients are on Instagram, but I like TikTok. So I edit all my, reels and everything out of the apps. I use Splice. I do that, and then I'll put them in both. But, the customer engagement is still on Instagram for me, but I would love to break into TikTok. It's just that unknown for me right now.
I'm going to say a couple of things on that really quick. There's a couple things that I think about when I think about social media. First of all, I think that, and I'm just going to be like the devil's advocate here because that's what I do. You don't own your Instagram account and you don't own your TikTok account. What you do own is you own your brand. And to Christopher's point earlier, I've definitely made sure that I have established a brand, and Marie Green and I actually have been working on this for the last year, is like making sure that your brand is solid online, period. So like if Instagram crashes or TikTok goes off or China, whatever they do with it, you have to make sure that you're still going to be a stable hairstylist and you're still going to have a source of income. And, I only say that because we would have never thought that COVID was going to stop our industry. We were untouchable. Like the stock market crashed in 2018. We were still fine. Everybody was still like, yeah, we're hairdressers. We're making money. We don't care. We'll live in our bubble. And then it was literally like, I was telling somebody out of this industry as an investor that like, we're untouchable. Our industry is untouchable. And like COVID happened and it was like 3 months later. And then I was like eating my words. And I think about that kind of stuff now and I'm like, what if? Like, how many times have we all heard from people that are like, oh my God, Instagram's having glitches today, or like, I can't get my post up, or I can't do this. Like I like social media and I think it is absolutely imperative to use to build your brands, but like also think about, do you have a website? Do you have your own brand, a blog, anything? And blogs are coming back. Like if you have your own website and blog and you are good on social and YouTube. You can monetize on YouTube as well, but like you have to pick your couple platforms that you really want to focus on. And then again, I think we just need to have another masterclass on like the ins and outs of how do you like create content to share across all those platforms. And one thing I know, Sydney, you kind of made a comment on during one of my stories was I was like, oh my God, now I have to get like another iPhone because now I have to film horizontally and vertically. And I'm like, who, like, what we have, I want to like do all this at one time to save time. Right. So there's a lot of those little like tips and tricks and like editing and all that stuff on how to repurpose content. But I definitely want to just say that I think it's so imperative that you really like you figure out which platforms you want to focus on, but you also really focus on your brand.
Good point. Great point.
How do you guys feel about like stories and stuff and sharing personal information on your platforms?
I want to say that it's super important, right? Because you do want to show your work, but then you also want to show people who you are, so you can kind of get that engagement. Because at the end of the day, okay, she just posted a lot of hair extensions, she just posted a lot of blonde balayage, but who is that person, right? And what is it that they do on like outside of their job? And I know this because I mean, I as well was a hairdresser for over 12 years behind a chair. And a lot of the people, yes, they came into me because they saw my work, but then they also came to me because I met them at different events where there was a concert or whether it was whatever, you name it. And they saw me there and they're like, oh, wait a minute, like he's human as well. He's not just a picture. And it helped me personally a lot to grow my following and my clientele when I was behind the chair. I don't know about you, Marie or Sydney.
I make sure there's always something in my stories. I feel like people's attention span is so short. And if there's not something in the stories, don't ghost your clients, your followers. I mean, they're moving on to the next one. I just like to stay fresh. So stories are important. But I do know only your followers see your stories. So I always try to make sure to have something new in my feed also. And on the, Instagram can go away. I have a lot of friends who've learned this the hard way very recently. Make sure you have 2-factor authorization. It's not as hard as what you think it is. It's one button to press, screenshot the numbers they give you. I think that's really important. I could literally count about 5 in the past few months of my friends that have had their Instagrams hacked. So it's your business.
Sydney, did that happen to you, right?
It did not. I thought to
No, mine was not hacked. Mine was shut down.
Oh.
And that's another story for another day.
Woo!
You guys follow me and I will share details of that.
What'd you
my
do?
Instagram was gone for 5 days because I'll give you the short version just really quick because I know everyone's going to want to know, or maybe I should make you come over there and find out. But the truth is I had a bunch of, when you have like a following, you get like a lot of DMs of like, spam accounts or whatever, but I get a lot of sugar daddies that want to, I guess, support me in my role as a hairstylist. And so there was one night where I had like literally 70 of them messaging within like 2 minutes. And so what happens is every good brand deal I get, every good connection I get comes into my, your like filtered messages, your message requests. And so like I have to go through those. I can't just ignore them. I have to like go through and delete all the sugar daddy comments. So I like screenshotted these 70 people saying that they wanted to be my sugar daddy and put it up in my stories and said, is anyone else having a sugar daddy issue? Note to self, don't use those words on Instagram. My account was literally within 12 hours shut down and for human trafficking. And it would have been like literally deleted had I not known somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that worked at Meta to like speak up for me. So no, but thanks for putting me on the spot, Danielle.
Sorry, girl. I mean,
Great story.
But that's like so important though. And you didn't know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. Like you worked so hard to like grow that presence and like
what I would say about that, what a good like learning lesson from that was, and I'm like, it happened September 12th, 6:43 a.m. and I was teaching 5 social media classes that day. And you have never been humbled until you get up on stage in front of 400 people and tell them, you can normally find me on Instagram at Sydney Ann Lopez Hair, but my account was removed today. And so then you go, well, kind of back to your point, Danielle, like, well, who am I? Like, I don't exist in the social media world and I'm teaching social media. So like, one of the things that I think is really important as you grow is to remember that exactly what you said, like social media is what you do to support your brand. It's not who you are. It doesn't define who I am. The number of followers I have or the number of brand deals I have doesn't define who Sydney Lopez is. That my social media page is a byproduct of my brand. And so back to your point, Christopher, one of the things I love to teach too is like, I thought I would be a lot cooler by now by having a following, and I'm not cool at all. Like, I thought like all these people that had like big followings, like when I was coming up, I'm like, wow, that's so-and-so, and this is this person, and they're so cool. And I'm just the same person. And so I feel like if you guys know that, if you go into it knowing like you're really like pouring into your audience and trying to know who your followers are, like I'm a mom of 2 and I get comments all the time because of my stories like, hey, you're really relatable. And I was like, oh man, like I'm not like cool or anything. I'm just relatable. But like after 2020, it's okay to be relatable. Like I want to be relatable. I want people to be able to reach out to me and say, hey, I'm really struggling getting creative color clients in my chair. Tell me what to do. And so I feel like if you can just put yourself out there, like you're going to get the right following and you're going to get the right people in your chair. Because what I always say is if people don't like my content, I'm putting the best content that I can possibly create out into the world. I'm not like doing it halfway. And so if it doesn't resonate with you, then I'm just not your girl, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've got some really good questions here, and I'm just going to kind of let whoever feels like they're great at answering whatever one speaks to you. But what pointers do you have when trying to transition from being a stylist to for everyone to one speaking about a very dialed in niche?
Marie?
I'm sorry, say that again. I only got half.
Yeah. What pointers do you have when you're transitioning from speaking to being a stylist for everyone to speaking about like your dialed in niche? So like when you transitioned from doing everything in the salon to hair extensions, what pointers do you have about like, how did you do that?
I will say that I did train 2 people. I have some amazing assistants to take over the clients who were not going to, I wasn't just going to leave them in the alley and say, good luck finding a colorist. I did train somebody under me, which also makes me income, and had them, you know, take care of the clients who were not going to do extensions. Actually, one of my assistants is in the comments right now, asking how, to build that brand on social media and stuff like that. Girl, Casey, you got this. Don't even ask. She is doing fabulous. She's actually going to go. I'm sending her to the Great Lengths class next weekend. So I have two girls who have trained under me that are just up and coming, and they are going to be fabulous. But they are the 2 who are doing all of my colors and stuff like that of the client. So I would say hire somebody, train them, still make income off of that, and you're able to do what you want.
Perfect. So we've got some questions about two-factor authentic. The two-factor authentic. What do you?
Goodness, now I can't.
Does anyone here know much about that?
Easy.
Basically, I do. Just after that incident, there's just a little, the little 3 lines that are up at the top. You can just go into privacy or into your settings in general on your, like literally on your Instagram, and it'll just tie your Instagram account to more than just like one phone number or one email. So depending on what you want to do, if you want to send it to like a spouse's phone number, or you want to send it to a secondary phone number or to a different email. So that way on both, it has to be approved for you to like change your password. It's really hard for people to hack that kind of content. And I think one of the things that I learned from a good friend is to probably turn it on Facebook as well. So you can have two-factor on Facebook, you can have it on Instagram. I would put it on both. And then if you have the option to disconnect your Facebook from your Instagram, if for some crazy using your Facebook gets hacked, then your Instagram doesn't automatically get hacked with it. Like if you can keep that separate entities, that's your safest bet.
Perfect.
Yeah. I have a friend who got hacked end of last year, hairstylist in California. And every time she would talk to somebody and they'd send a reset the password, they were sending it to the hacker. And then they would immediately. So you have to have 2-factor authorizations. So the internet changing it before she could get to it, it was insane. And she's never back. So she's had to completely start over. So.
Wow. All right. I'm going to take one more question and then we're going to bring it back to Tanner and wrap things up for today. I know we're going to definitely have to have another one of these master classes, but I wanted to direct this question from Casey to Christopher. So Christopher, what would you say to a brand new stylist at school when it does come to branding and social media, especially when building a clientele and creating content? I know sometimes that we feel overwhelmed on where to start.
All right, Christopher, make this good. This is my assistant.
Yes, I heard. I mean, I would say to that, when coming out from school, there's so much content that you can create, right? Whether it's that you're going to a new training, you can create like you getting there, you getting prepped for the training, what you did throughout the training, the people who you met. Also, the networking aspect of it, right? Sometimes as artists, we go to a training for whichever brand it is, and we just go, we attend, and it's like, okay, it's 3 o'clock. I got to get out of the door because I got to go get my kids. I got to go get my dog. I got to go do groceries. But we don't think about the time we can also spend there afterwards so we can meet people, so then we can later on collaborate, right? Because this is a really, really important aspect of our business. In order for us also, the ones who are independent, to keep on growing our business and keep on growing our community is through our collaboration, because then whenever you're traveling, you met somebody that's in another place, you're like, oh yeah, I can definitely go there and I can also do some content while I'm there. So you take that back with you. And then I will also say, because Danielle, you've done this a lot when I'm with you and I've seen you, girl, record the content, right? And you don't have to necessarily post it today or tomorrow. You can just use that content later on. And as long as you have, I would say like, and I'm sorry, I just lost the word for it in English and I have it in Spanish in my mind. You have like a toolbox for all your content and it's already all there. And then let's say a week or 2 weeks passes by and you're like, oh wait, I haven't posted anything. I don't know what should I post? And then you start creating content from the content that you already have, and you create a reel, you create a carousel, you create whatever, but then you maintain yourself relevant, because then that way it's not like, oh, I didn't record nothing today, or I forgot to take a picture of that hair, you know? So that's it.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And I think sometimes we have to get out of our own heads. Like, we don't have to do it in the moment. In fact, sometimes it's better not to do it in the moment. I don't want crazy psychos knowing exactly where I am every minute of my day. Right? So it's like, sometimes I'll purposely wait to like post something because I know like, okay, I don't want somebody to know that I'm by myself in this area of the world at this time, you know, but like you can repurpose content all the time. I think that's really important. And, you know, one of my big plain hacks is like, I get on when I don't have the internet connection and I'm like going through my photos and organizing all my photos into albums so that when I do have the time to like be able to create reels or put them into programs like InShot or video recording apps, like you can easily just go in there and like make a video to, you know, post later, and just keep all those in organized albums, and that will make your life a lot easier. So I'm going to bring Tanner back on, and we are going to just kind of recap a little bit on Artists on the Go. And again, it's just been so awesome. I love the community. And if there's any other questions, guys, definitely type them in. If we don't get to them today, we will absolutely answer them on the Artists on Go platform. So definitely do not be shy.
Yeah, it's a good point. So yeah, we will post everything about this. The worst part about this would be if we didn't capture it and send it to you guys. So we're going to do that. Guys, thank you so much for doing this. In fact, I was sitting here. I forgot that I was hosting with you guys. I was writing notes for my own self. This was huge.
I love
it. You know, I think there's a couple good things I wrote, but one thing that I kind of wanted to touch on I think this is kind of like the essential part of all this is, number one, so you started off with what makes your heart flutter, right? It's finding what we want to do, what we love, right? And Christopher, you talked about finding the people. Marie, I loved what you said about being established with who you are, being firm with it, and being okay with the direction that you take it. And Danielle, I loved especially the part where your aha moment was like, you know what, like, this can be scary. This is vulnerable, but I wished I would have done it. I wish I would have jumped through. And I think from what I do, I work with so many artists who are on this verge of, especially post-COVID, like, I've got to push, but I'm so scared, right? And so Danielle, to your point, I think this is where Artist on Go helps, is we are that platform that helps you take that jump, right? And so in this situation, Marie, I know we're in Miami, so we'll try and stretch a little bit closer to you. But in a situation, right, now we can help you get a place that works for you. Find what you love, find what you need, right? Like anything that works with the amenities that you have, your process, what you prefer, the people you want to be around, we can do that. And so with that being said, with Artist on Go, like we'll send a link to everybody. In fact, we'll drop it right now, but you can jump on our website, take a quiz, get matched to the salon that works for you, wherever it is. You'll trickle down to me. You and I are going to chat on the phone and we can find out more things that work, right? But the idea is we want to help you grow in your own space and provide that for you. And obviously, it's a special thank you for coming, for all of our attendees. If you decide to do this, right, if you decide to find a monthly option that works for you, we're doing $200 off our monthly program with the code GREATLEGS. So this is huge. But again, I don't think this was possible without Marie, Sydney, Danielle, and Christopher. Thank you so much for the education. I think this is what it's about, is bringing the community and network and realizing that we all do rely on each other to go forward. So again, thank you to you guys, and thank you to everybody who joined us. So be sure to follow us on Instagram. You've got all the handles. We'll keep in touch. We'll keep posting everything. But again, thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure.